Right guys, are we ready? Have you got settled? Ready to go? The master of the ceremonies is on. MC Jeremy Tunn. Attention, order! Preposterous! Demand order. Yeah, no, I didn't say that. So we've got on here A for bill, A for V, accepted for value, bills of exchange, which is the 1882, CQV and claim name copyright. I've got something up about the copyright I can read to you that I've dealt with there. We've had a private message from someone that I'm dealing with in my private areas has got a company, and he's had an allegation from a large company thrown at them, claimed to do with advertising Google words and stuff like that. So that's very interesting in itself with regards to the copyright that we'll look at going on after we've done the A for B bills of exchange. We'll talk about PCNs, 1988 Traffic Act, DVLA, and then that data. I don't know. So we'll say 5 o'clock, 3 hours, 2 hours 45 minutes. So what would you consider the priority? Have you got any preference to what we speak about, or is there anything like a show of hands for what you want? Is it finance, the bills, the PCNs, DVLA, land acquisition, CQB? There's lots you see, but yeah, that would be the one that you'd like the preference of, yeah. I can get up then. That's good you've said that. I want to ask, and you've come here, so we can speak all day. Various and many, but I'll get
sleep.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
We have noticed.
Yeah.
You're a spiteful kid. I don't even know if I know you anymore. What an attitude.
Sorry?
In fact, I don't know if I like you like this.
Oh, you're going to have to like it until you get out, because I'll be lift. His next words.
Bribery.
Pocket words for the government, do they?
Don't get me started on that.
Yeah, this is where we got the land tech from. There's quite a lot to go through here, but quite quick. It says, you can see it on the screen as well. Yeah. I might sort of mic out. Yeah, it's because of my hand, that's all. Here we go. Is that better? Yeah, This is impressive study examines the consequences for land tenure in England of William of Normandy's conquest of the country, glossed by his claim to have succeeded to the throne by the bequest of King Edward. Yet he believed, in line with French practice, that he became king at the moment of consecration, after which he could legitimately grant lands to his followers. Adjudication of tenurial rights was based on the situation of the day of King Edward's death, but a great volume of evidence heard by the Doomsday Commissions was simplified, and from this there emerged a new pattern of dependent tenurial lordship. William, as the Lord Heir of King Edward, was regarded as Lord of all, which his English predecessors had not been. The case for William's conquest of England, Garnet suggests, was justified by Landfrack drawing on canon. So that's to the church, that is canon. That's the type of law they're using there. That's the monarchy, the Vatican, the crown of the Vatican. You know about the Vatican and Washington and London all having separate jurisdictions, separate nations, countries, land itself, you see. So they're not the central part of London, Greater London, which is coded red on the map, is separate to the United Kingdom, the Trust, because that's where the Crown live. In England, they've managed and do all that on behalf of the Crown. Then you have Vatican Crown, Washington Crown. They all have the obelisks in there. They all are the part of the occupation of which we would say is the stronghold, which is in effect at the minute Roman civil stronghold, which we can demonstrate and go all the way back to. But it's interesting that they've used Canon 75 of the Fourth Council of Toledo, you know, William Poitiers wrote a vindication of the. So it's deep. I can go onto Facebook. You see, I'll give you this link. Right, you search 1066 land tenure. We'll not waste valuable time by going through. But this has got the history of the kings and the monarchy and the canons and the, you know, this, not this page as such, but the 1066 succession and land tenure. But go into SPLs, and then I'll put into here land registry, and then we'll have already talked and discussed this, and we'll have had topic come up with which I can reference for you now. So yeah, land registry, we'll go for the one with lots of comments. So how land registry deals with fraud. Innie is always good. If you see Sister Innie posting anything, she knows a lot of the administrative side, a lot of the CPR side and the process side and the forms, and she's really a strong worker. She's got a lot on, but she has got time to help out, you know. She's available and will do what she can. She's a wealth of knowledge though. Land registry, so look at White Rabbit as well then for land registry, because he's really on it. So Simon Spaniard, White Rabbit, things like that for the land registry for videos. This isn't so much documents, but he will give you documents. And what else we got? That's not, I remember. Forgery, wait, carry on. Backdoor hack, that's... yeah, I usually know.
That White Rabbit land registry, it's got part 2. Somebody asked him what happened to part 1.
Okay.
He put comments explaining that basically part 2 is the same as part 1, but he had to take out the part where he made personal references to the person that he was speaking to on the other end of the phone. So.
Interesting, very interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You have to.
Apparently he's doing, any time now, he's doing a big update on his council tax bill, as he said.
And he does one as well.
Yeah.
Is that House Spaniardo?
Yeah. He said it's almost done.
Here we go. What's this, January 2017?
Oh, but what's in his website then? Yeah, White Rabbit Trust, isn't it? What's your budget? I don't know, what's that do? Something for cash, isn't it? Yeah, it's not like, yeah.
You and your cash.
That's it, yeah.
Deuteronomy, some of it, what's this here, Baron Monroe, I'm just looking for land tenure there, but yeah, if you go into SOVs, and there's a lot here about the canons inside, what is, how it has gone, but the land registry, the registry itself, I would believe that we need to explore it. I can't tell you how it's registered or what's registered there or how they do it. Property is registered there, and we will put a pin in that one for later on. Land registry, its title, and it manages it, but I haven't got enough information to give you with regards to the claim, property, things like that. Land registry. What would it be regarding? Regarding what? The CQV claim of right, or why do you want to know?
When you're doing your claim against your mortgage, so that you've got first in there, so that you've got claim on land, but also use that land as your business, so you then, it's both private and public, so it's crossing domains. So would that matter, the crossing of domains then?
Secure in your castle.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just go hands free a minute. Let me get on here. How we?
No thanks.
He was working up to it, wasn't he?
So that one, I've just used a link from what Innie York's put up, how we recover indemnity payments in fraud cases. So this is the .gov UK about the land registry's core function. Every property owner's title is backed by indemnity if a mistake is made in the register that causes loss. In 15-16 we paid 8 million from our indemnity fund for 1,000. That's got information about this here, the land registry there. So I'm just looking at what we've covered, because if we spoke about it, then it will be another charge is registered against land. Here we go. That's exactly what you want. So in York, October 31st, 2017. Let's get rid of that one.
That's it. No?
So mortgages and other charges registered against land. So a notice of equitable interest goes in. From what I'm researching within equity, anybody that puts in a notice, let me just see if that is correct before I get onto that. Notice of equitable interest. You see what that is in a nutshell. That's to do with land and property and things like that. I'm sure that'll come up with property and land and something. An equitable interest is an interest held by virtue of an equitable title, or a title that indicates a beneficial interest in property and gives the holder the right to acquire, form a legal title. So yeah, it could be on anything, or claim on equitable grounds, such as the interest held by a trust beneficiary. Equitable interest is right in equity that might be protected by equitable remedy. That's what I know what they do when they put a notice in to get your property. Under the doctrine of notices, your property, your mortgage, your private mode of conveyance, they put a notice in and they serve you under the notice of intent and statement of intent. And I'm digressing a bit there, but
First one to put the charge in on your
first in line, the equitable charge. Yeah, so it's down to see where we're going here again. It's bless you, gesundheit. So this post, what we've had put up from INI with regard to the mortgages and other charges registered against land, that would be interesting. Any mortgages or the loan secured against registered land will appear in the charges register section of the land register. The land was purchased with a mortgage, or if the property is subsequently remortgaged, this will be referred to in the charges. The purpose of this is the financial side. I haven't got into this. This isn't my strong point. I don't mind saying there's that much going off. We all have to focus in our own areas. This will be looked at in depth, but we may have a weak area of knowledge. But I'd see What Debt, Roger Taylor. He's a good lad. You've got some useful groups on Facebook we can pull some information from and get back and work on this as a team. Anything that's come out subsequently, and charges to do with mortgage, equitable charges. So what we're looking at again now, we're looking at mortgages against land registry, and you see that word equitable charges. So we're looking at land, property, mortgages, finance, agreements. Equitable charges. A secured loan may sometimes be registered as an equitable charge instead of a legal charge. There are a number of reasons why this might happen. Some of the most likely reasons why an equitable mortgage might be created are: another lender who already has a loan secured against the property has refused to give permission for a further loan to be secured against the property. There is a defect in the documentation which purported to create a legal charge or mortgage. The borrower does not own a legal estate in the land, but only has equitable interest, such as interest under a trust. If any of the cases described above, the lender will have to have an equitable charge rather than a legal charge. So it's very complicated, this. It does come under...
You've also got your charges at Company's House. Can I
go on, by all means.
ask how many people here are actually fighting a mortgage? Is there anybody?
You want to start doing it?
You want to start, but nobody's actually fighting it?
No, not me.
Okay.
Not many.
I've been doing it for about 18 months with Sonny. I've lost about 25 buy-to-let houses because we had to learn as we were going along. And that is not as bad as it seems at the moment, apart from the fact that I haven't got money to pay my own mortgage, which is coming up in September, which is why we've really got to get to grips with what we can do. So there's a charge at Company's House and one at Land Registry. I don't need to go into this now. I was just interested.
No, it's good. You carry on. No, it's good. It's something that not many people are knowledgeable on, and it's not an area I focus research on.
Okay.
We're a big group. We'll have knowledge within the group. We can try anyway. Pull it back up.
You have to find out where your charge is and which company actually have the charge at Company's House, and invariably it's not going to be your mortgage company. It's going to be the SPV who's actually bought your mortgage. I was lucky in as much as I had a limited company. That sounds very posh, but there's only one house in it. And it was easy for me to find out where my charge was. And there's a form called an MGO2 or MRO2. It's so easy to fill in. I filled it in and the charge disappeared. So I've got a property with no charge at Company's House, but I don't know how to take it off at Land Registry. I could just go on and on. This isn't really going to be necessarily relevant to you guys at the moment. I was just hoping that somebody might be at the same sort of level as we are, and we could bounce off each other a bit.
Yeah.
No, not to worry.
We can learn and grow together.
And obviously there's a lot at stake for them, because if we believe what we believe, that we create the debts, sorry, we create the security, the credit with our
Yeah, we do.
signature.
Yeah.
They don't lend us any money at all, it's
No.
created out of thin air.
Yeah.
They've
Absolutely.
just had 25 properties off me, it's in Wales, it's not a fortune, but they've had the best part of 2 million quid
Without showing consideration.
without showing a penny of consideration. That is not my priority now. I will be going back and hitting them again, but at the moment, I've got something like £700 or £800 worth of shortfalls on those mortgages. Oh, shut up. I haven't actually. I got this list, and I never got my calculator out. He did anyway. So I've got, but I wrote to them. We wrote to them in September saying we acknowledge this, but we want you to prove that you lent the money, that the charge, the blah 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 blah, blah, that you haven't claimed on any insurance, that you haven't offset this against tax, and something else, and basically they've left me alone. So there must be something in what we've written.
It's only notice of conditional acceptance.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
which you
Yeah.
mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
You give them a notice of
Yeah.
stop for a few weeks.
I'm not saying no, I'm just declining at the moment until you can clarify for me these couple of issues that are
Yeah.
required.
But more than happy to help, obviously, you know.
I've told them we've got the money there, it's ready to pay.
Absolutely.
We haven't.
Yeah.
We told them that we've got it
Absolutely.
there, and that we want
Yeah.
to pay it, because you remain in honour.
You wish to give remedy, but however, can you just answer me these couple of questions, please?
Yeah.
Didn't reply, we said we're not to sort of stop up. Then they managed to write back saying we are not a stop and we still can. Well, do it then. What are you waiting for? I don't see any.
But because I didn't have much equity in a lot of those houses, because I bought them at the wrong time 10 years ago, it hasn't actually hit me that much at the moment, but it will hit me if I lose my own house. So, yeah, that's where we are. So, if
We
anybody
just start
wants
trying to
to,
protect
you
the
know,
equity in the house for minutes, so we can't do the same again, you know? It was a little bit late because our hands were dirty and we couldn't take it into equity. And then they very rapidly chance of even getting back square to get clean out. They know that.
but people do win, but we don't hear about them. That's the problem. It's probably all done in private. Yeah, isn't it? You know.
No, we got comments. Was Ahmed. Removed, did he say a number?
MGO.
NGO2, yeah, that was right, we got that. Health and happiness to all, peace and all. Right, there's nothing there to say about. What was we got here? With regards to. I don't know, ask him again. Reese, what was the name of that form, buddy? Ask him what the name was.
What was the name of that form?
What was the name of that form again? What was the number of that form?
MRO2?
I think it's MRO2. So it's the form to take
NG. Oh, yeah.
a company's house.
Yeah, yeah.
And you've got a sign to say that you've got an interest in it. Well, I have got an interest in it coming on. You know, it's as simple as that. I've got it. And I can always say, well, they never lent me any money, blah, 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 blah. And nobody's asked me. The mortgage company hasn't come at me.
So we're trying to find out what the procedure is that Land Reg does before they take off the legal charge. Do they do a quick reference at company's house to see that the charge has been removed and that it's no longer there, meaning the equitable charge is gone, they can now remove the legal? We don't want to push them in case that's not right and the company ends up putting the charge back on them. But they've not sent any letters, they've had no mortgage money since the charge was taken now. 3 or 4 months now? 4 months?
Yeah, yeah.
And they've closed the mortgage account.
And I've changed
Well,
my
I'll tell
bank.
you what's happening, I can only tell you.
I've changed my bank. They haven't come at me for the mortgage either since January.
That's interesting.
Taking charge from HMRC.
No,
Not a separate company, sorry. Yeah.
nothing.
They've disclosed it.
I don't know. I'm in a limbo. I don't know what to do. I can't believe how easily it came off.
Well, the trouble is all this corporation runs their
And you've got to find who's got the charge on your property at company's house.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got to try and prove it. And it's hard to find the SPVs. Steve McRae can do it, but he wants to charge 500 quid a time. And I had a lot, and I'm not paying 500 quid for somebody to do it. And, you know, if they gave me
Stock exchange.
it says, yeah, but what's how you do it? I don't think I'm doing it. I think they'll do it right.
Special purpose vehicles.
Special purpose A big Ponzi scheme.
They find out
It's
that.
supposed to have investors, but I don't think if that was the case, my confirmation.
Anybody said,
I think that it's with the name of the listed. If that was the case, if I was reported on my money, true interest, not the lender, the lender.
I've got some here about Here we go, then I found something about notices, the doctrine of notices and equity, a previous post we've done. At the top it says, we're looking about notices. You need to look at the doctrine of notices. To you guys at the back, write down the doctrine of notices, SPVs and stuff like that with your financial setups. They send you a notice, everything's done by noticing you, and it's done with regards to the doctrine of notices. That would be something that's at the heart of equity. So we've been looking at, this is when we was looking at the doctrine of notices, looking at equity, blah blah blah, we can see.
Notices, what we haven't done is done an affidavit and get them all notarised, because then we have the lien position.
The doctrine of notice, unregistered and registered land, home land law, the doctrine of land. The doctrine of notice applies in unregistered land to determine priority of equitable interest not governed by the Land Charges Act 1925. The most significant of which is the beneficial interest under a trust, under the doctrine of notice. So as you're financial, you're not buying the houses for cash, you're getting a loan, I imagine, and some kind of trust relationship with the creation of the money, and you are creating it, they're giving it you back, they're insuring the assets, aren't they? The mortgage is insured, the property is insured. If you default, they reclaim and foreclose the property. The default means that the payment is paid out anyway, and they get their big barrack to chase you, and the money never existed. So it is a bit of a mess, to be honest, and they also have power of attorney along with that, but the Land Charges Act 1925.
It's not legally binding, Dave, even though they say they never use it. It's got to be a
The most significant of which is a beneficial interest under a trust, under the doctrine of notice, under a bona fide purchaser of a legal estate for value, takes priority over any pre-existing equitable interest which is not registered as a land charge, provided they did not have actual constructive or impugned notice of their existence. In many conveyances, the doctrine of notice will not be relevant, as overreaching generally transferred a beneficiary's interest into the land proceeds of sale. See City of London Building Society versus Plague 1980 case summary. The doctrine of notice has no application in registered land where the priority is determined by a separate regime, including overriding minor interests. So, bonatides is a Latin term meaning good faith. The purchaser or mortgage must demonstrate they acted in good faith, entering the transaction. You've got your legal estates for value without notice, actual notice, constructive notice. Yeah, reasonable inquiries including visiting the property, if asking the occupants if they have any interest, they're meant to how they pay their rent. There's Hunt versus Luck, that's a good reference for you. Write down Hunt versus Luck, boys, and have a look at that with regards to the purchaser. Required to make inquiries as to occupants, even if their occupation is consistent with the title offered. See Williams and Glyn's Bank versus Bolland, 1981 case summary, reflecting the position stated by Stamp, Chance, Corns versus Corns 1969. So these have got stuff about property, notices, mortgages, land tenure, land, should I say, deemed to know all that his agent, purchaser or mortgage, his mortgagee is deemed to know all that his agent knows. So a purchaser or mortgagee is deemed to know. You might not necessarily know, but that's the assumptions and presumptions that they get on you. You see, we have deemed that you are informed. Can you prove that in a court of law? You know, that's the kind of thing. It's presumptions and assumptions, so they deem you to be, you know, at the age of 18 they deem you, when you become 18 they deem you to be legally responsible to take your full public liability. But nobody tells you on your 18th birthday, hey up, now that you're 18, they do kind of, your mum and dad tell you, don't they? And you know, you go out for your first beer at 18 and get your drink and that, but you are put into an office, a public legal office, if you're good. You might as well have done it at 15 if you're not, but you're in that, and they deem you to know that you are of the legal age and you're of the capacity to accept your public full liabilities. And if you don't know, then that's not their problem. You'll find out later down the line when they come asking or to take you away or to claim, to complain for whatever reason. So we are put into an office. We don't actually know anything about it. There's no actual preparation for it. You know, you've got a lot to deal with here. And the public notices, the doctrine, the mortgages, the SPVs. Yeah, have a look by all means at Steve McRae, see what he's saying, look at his website there. We don't claim to know it all, we work with everybody. I did say to Mark and Steve if they wanted to come down or do a link up or something, they're welcome to. That may still happen later down the line. But there are others you can go to, and I do that. Those guys that we mentioned, that was asked you to make notes of, and then whatever you find out, just put back into the SPLs, like, and then we'll work on it. Take the nuggets, what you get, what you know, your verbiage, your use of stuff like that. But I'm struggling to find. We're not too strong on this land tenure land law. We focused on trust and equity, chancery, in personam, contracts, public. Giving it a good go on the A for B, bills of exchange, the trust, everything we can say is trust related. You know, it is a deep world of where it's based. You know. What else have you got that's on your mind that you'd like to talk about or cover? We've got a good amount of time.
Trust a minute.
Yeah, by all means.
No, I mean, you don't need to go into loads of detail, but I don't know anything about it. And you said you're being employed by it, yeah?
Yeah, I'm creating it as a set law. Yeah, it will do. Yeah, beneficiaries to be going in to pay donation £12 a year for the trust itself, and that goes to the bank account that's specifically set up. So when you own property, you can put it into a trust. If you don't own the property, you can't put it into a trust. So you have to be, it has to be yours to be dealing with. For a express private trust, there are lots of other trusts, like I've said, the resultant trustee, when you pay somebody too much money, you can misconstrue public type trusts that you're in, what you don't need to know you're in. So the government legally 18 responsible to be taken into that trust. You know, you are the trustee of the CQB, not the beneficiary of it. So a master code, something like that, yeah, you pick it up and put it down. So what area of trust, which bit of the trust would you like to understand? Yeah. No, that's all right. No, we can explain. It's all good. It's all open and fair.
What is it going to affect us? It's going to benefit us? We
you
going to
decide
be able
whether you want to
come
enter
to you and
into
get
commerce
support?
as an agent.
Or, I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, the Facebook group is a trust. I've explained about the various trusts that I'm not trust master, I'm just trust student at the minute, but I'm getting to pick up Richard's work and his paperwork, his teaching, and we're going on leaps and bounds. So there's various trusts. I've explained some of them to you: public, private, statutory, but they are a triangle. There are various different relationships you can have, and you can have all three positions and special trustees. It's the learning curve of which you need to go on, but they generally involve a triangle, and the one that owns the property at the top is the set law, as I explained with the man and the wife, the husband and wife, they make the property, the baby together. So you are, I could read you something which I did post the other day, which is quite comprehensive, but I can see if I can find it. Yeah, go on, by all means.
No, it's just a case of, we don't need to know the ins and outs of the trust.
He's asking what the trust is for or
Yeah,
what
what's it for, what's the
Yeah.
benefit of
Oh, so by
the
you...
website,
Yeah.
and everything you're doing now is building around a trust, yeah?
Yeah.
So, in simplistic terms, what is the benefit to this group of being involved?
Moving from the public to the private, so you're not in the private. This is like with regards to your status online. So you're on a public Facebook group, and you are giving your data, you are being monitored. We've got all these kind of privacy things going off on that domain where we all interact presently, where that first trust was set up. So we are concerned about public and private. To be the settlor and to act like the settlor, to be the settlor, you need to walk and talk it and be it, live it and breathe it, manage it. We're in the process of doing that now.
saying what are the benefits?
Yeah, the benefits.
To have the benefits of.
So you'll get to go on a private domain and you'll have a home there. So when you go to splspro.com as opposed to Facebook, I'll have to bring it up though for you so I can just navigate and show you now.
You're not also building a community though? A community.
Yeah, it's a digital university of which is going to be protected now. So if I don't own Facebook, I don't have the rights to it. So it's not mine, it's not yours. We have no power or control over that domain, and we are subject to. On this domain, by you guys coming over and joining the when it loads the private domain, you've got access to me, access to the guys that we put on as agents on the site. The top there, you've got your home newsfeed, forums, library, videos, events and merchandise. So with regards to the library, the resource-based library, there will be, when we go live in the next few days, there's 70 up at the minute. On here, once you have got your membership sorted out and you subscribe it, you've got, you can search through categories, acts, bills, case law. This is a benefit here for you now, other than my time, the agent's time, the website's time, a phone number to call, and the services, the lines of education, we will get to you. Tags, any tags like there, you see 16, see all them numbers of years that are on there. You've got this how you go through for the tags on all of the documents, government, particular words. These are all the downloadable documents that have been checked and vetted and sourced, and you know what I mean. So we've got structure and direction with regards to PDF documents, layout, everything like that. We can go to the videos which you've got unauthorized. Some are linked from YouTube, some are ones friends of us, from YouTube, which are up there in the public arena for you to have a look at. The videos, Iceland, there's 18 on there about how they've dealt with money, finance, equity, money is a debt, everything like that. Your notice of intent, the documents are pulling up here as well as videos. This one's got 39 videos in, lecture 1 and part 1 out of 39, so you get like a course already structured for your learning, for your education. So that will then go there. You've got the option to play. Your playlist is here for if you're halfway through, you'd scroll down and pick the one that you've got up with, because you're not going to watch all 39 in one go. That's your videos bit there. We go to the bottom, we've got forum section. So your forum section is going to be outlined, structured. We'll have like one for mortgages, SPVs, finance, A for V, bills of exchange, PCNs. Here we go. Forums is loaded up. So you've got now again. You don't have this on Facebook from one group. You have it. It's all of it scattered, isn't it, in the post? So you've got here bailiffs and debt collection, banking and money, courts, general discussion, main category, and the subcategories underneath: council tax, introduction, lawful, legal, social services, trust and equity. So that's ultimately you get a secure environment which is private, and then you get the expertise of the admins, which then are going to be called agents. So on the site, if you've got a particular problem you need help with, we'll assign an agent to you. And the trustees will be managing the finance, the agents will be managing the work and how they assign it. We will give an agent to you, and then a ticket will be created, and it's all managed and tracked and traced, all the interaction and history with that agent and you. So then I can oversee it, the trustees manage it and own the property. You guys, the ones that are in Facebook and YouTube, are already in the trust, but a different trust. This website and bank account will get put into an express private trust, which is going to contain, as the res, the property will be assigned over to the trustees, and in the declaration will be everything about the trust. That's got to stay private, it can't be publicised. But That's essentially as it is. It's management of property, and you guys that then come up to sign up and donate and become a member of the site or a beneficiary of the trust. You are in a trust, but you're not legally responsible for anything. You have nothing to come back on you. It's on me as a settlor. I will be the one that's accountable. Then the trustees are accepting property. They're not mismanaging anything. They're not responsible. Except for holding the title of the property and acting upon the directions of the declaration, the duties for the trustees in that declaration verbatim, and that will be signed off and agreed by them. They will accept the responsibility, so I can then take a step back and do other stuff for the trust, but we'll be self-governing in a private area away from Facebook, subject to the terms and conditions of our site, of our private trust, then any kind of international laws that we see, human rights and certain things, private capacity, the public side is extinguished basically. You are then acting as settlor in the full capacity in a trust. If you ever have any trouble or anything, then you can start saying, well, I'll get onto my, I'll get onto my legal advisor, and then you get onto us and say, I've got an issue, what can we do? But we're not legal advisors. You'd say that to the establishment. We are just informants. We're not registered, licensed or regulated, as you know, affiliated with any of the law, Temple, BAR. It's just a learning curve of which we need to band together. We don't seem to have any ability to do anything other than pay out or get locked up at the minute. So we'd like to give you ability, learning, knowledge, support, direction, structure and education, and that will all come from that one place. With the 25 pence a week, that was £12 a year. I can see a few people might not be too happy about the amount, because you could perhaps monetize a website like this and go for broke, but you need to make it as cheap as possible, because we believe that the remedies that we seek, and even if you get a pointeeship and we can turn it around within a couple of hours, with regards to your vehicle, property getting clamped, whichever it is, if you're commerce and it's your works van, it will be a vehicle. I've dealt in the commercial and in the private, and we take that on for you. You can perhaps do it yourself. The workshops and things, the education is going to come through the training, hopefully through here or online through the, let me think, Google Hangouts, Skype, private, one-to-one, open. Has anybody been on any of Richard's webinars? I'm sort of familiar with what he does. He goes on, so that will do that as well, but not on the same comparison as Richard, a bit more simpler. And we're on the beginning of a massive journey, you see, so you guys are welcome to become beneficiaries and reside in the private and manage your affairs privately together in the forums with the learning, still in conjunction with the Facebook, but we don't know how long Facebook will be there. It might go tomorrow. The whole group, there's YouTube channels getting shut down and deleted. Guys that have had a job on there, their life's work's gone. So we need to prepare for the unexpected and start acting like a settlor, start residing in the private, and then teaching it out like that. Then nobody can come really and get us or say anything, as long as we're not inciting and cause to breaking any like copyright infringement, data protection, actual breaking the law itself with each other, and we'll be all right, I think. It's something that doesn't exist. I don't know any, this is what the government should be doing and what this trust-based relationship is about, and there don't seem to be any trust, is there?
This is exactly what the government don't want to be happening.
No, they don't. This is why it was hidden in the CPR merger. It was two separate forms of law that was then mixed into one channel of outlets to be managed with, and then you guys need to know what you're dealing with, otherwise they'll just process you into the common law and you with the full public liability, and you're not even the beneficiary, let alone the settlor. You're the trustee with the public liabilities. Yeah. Well, that's it, yeah, because you claim the name, you've gone in, haven't you? You claim the name to it, so...
Have we got a date for the solstice yet?
Yeah, the solstice will be July the 14th and 15th, so you can arrive on the Friday, which is about dinner time, tea time, Thomas has said, and then we will kick off like Saturday officially, Sunday, and then Monday morning maybe leaving. If you haven't left by Sunday evening, we'll like vacate, tidy up and vacate after breakfast club and that Monday morning. Well, me and you guys will. It's in Oxford, yeah. Thomas Hogg is very kindly offered a field. He's got a trailer, the generators, water.
Is it a rave?
Yeah, maybe, if you want, if you're up for it. Rave on. Yes, Mark. Whatever you want it to be, it's just hopefully the weather's nice. If it's torrential rain, it's probably get cancelled and we give out refunds. But we'll advertise and promote this a lot more in depth coming up to the summertime. It was going to be a sovereign solstice, but it's the wrong time of the year. I don't want us to call it a solstice when it's not on that time, so it would have been nice to do it on that date, but there's no availability. There's problems there, so we'll do it. Thomas's availability, he said 14th, 15th of July, and we'll get down there and just camp out. Nothing serious like this. Some stalls. We said, there's Matthew here, he said something about, health, organise, free energy, Collidial silver, stuff like that, we'll have like food, fire, I'll take the decks and that DJ mix and everything. Thomas has got some. Anybody that's got musical talent can come down and just relax, chill out, and just something different.
Just become an energy and
awesome. Private fields, we don't have to have a licence, we don't have to apply for anything. We just, we've done privately, we've done with liability insurance and everything like that, or, conforming to, and it should be alright, I'm looking very forward to it. Another little project in plan.
June the 23rd as well, Sam's got about 53,000 acres.
53,000 acres? Have you?
Yeah, so I need to figure this out.
5.3, sorry.
Oh, 5.3, redaction. A redaction there.
No, I've got a solstice gathering, so I'll put it out there.
Nice one, yeah.
Shangri-La.
Yeah, UCC, we're getting some comments about UCC there, about you need to look at UCC because money, international, you need to be careful and look at the UCC with the land register. And he did put some comments about UCC and land registry. It's different for in England, but interesting, you can place a restriction on your asset at lands registry with an RX1 form. Ahmed, then we got caught up with that. What else do we have? So you've got that, events, merchandise. What else we got here? Homepage, the services, what we're looking to offer. They will be increasing as the trust fund increases and once it's established, and we picked it up, but if at the bottom here, it says we're going to have the forums on the site to offer you a video library, a news feed much like Facebook, so we'll give you the stories as and when they come out. We'll correlate them from there to here. Events and merchandise, the resource library, bailiff removal protection we can do from anywhere. That's going to be offered for the bailiff removal. We call that agent removal. We'll assign agents to you. It won't be me. We want this teaching out, so we'd like to give you that information on how to deal with an agent when they come to the property, or they're one of your friends. We'll teach out the method, the language, how you conduct yourself, what you say, what parts of the law. If somebody's vulnerable on medication, stuff like that, we know the words to say to compel them to leave you alone there. Even if it's got to the stage where the bailiff's in the debt collector purporting to be a bailiff is inside the house, but it can still remove the telephone in person, and you guys can pick that up and we'll train that out with no extra cost. Possibly sovereign security as well, I'm not sure about that. That's something. So you're not legally responsible, beneficiary, you can be a beneficiary and all those all those avenues there. There we go, not so basic. So I had some documents open. I wanted to read about A for V. What does accepted for value mean? A brief paragraph, and then any of you that are here, if you've got where's the black clipboard? If you've got your names and that, anybody that's here, put your names on that black clipboard. If you don't put your names on there, I'll take that back. Does anybody want to put on for go on a mailing list and email? If not, pass it back down here and I'll take that to the front. All right. I'll just tell you where this document's from and what it is. Table of contents is a little bit where it come from. So, free reference material you should read. So it's just basically what's come I found from the internet at some point. Where does what does accepted for value mean? Millions of people use the phrase accepted for value every day without knowing what it means and why it is so powerful. You have the right to make personal choices that affect your commercial affairs. You can be in control, or you can be controlled. Acceptance for value is one means of being in control. And it says there, this is a free publication offered to those who seek the truth by the American Connection. Copyright there, 2007, but table of contents there, introduction, UCC. We have more documents like this, but this is just one that I happen to find right now. because we are doing it random for you. Oaths, constitutional oaths, acceptance, offer and acceptance, counter offer, acceptance for value equals taken for value, negotiability, without recourse, issued or transferred for value, that's UCC 3 section, interest in property, settlement, and A4V recap. So it tells you books there where the information has come from, American, national or federal. This is why we love Richard Ansar, because he's gone and met Winston Shrout, looked at Carl Lentz, looked at, well, there's loads now coming to mind, but he's looked at them all, and then he's gone over to the States and had a look, and he's come back, and he's put a lot of time and effort and research and court appearances. I'm not going to divulge what he shared with me personally, because he's got the respect from us, because we've, and I don't know about you guys, found that a lot of it comes from the US, and then when we're in the United Kingdom, we can't correlate what that HJR 192 remedy, for instance, we looked in England, United Kingdom, there's no such thing for the CQV when they're claiming the, and I'm not advising this, but they use the claim of life form and something 202 or whatever it is, evidence of life, UCC. Yeah, I'm not promoting any of these. I'm just saying we're still researching, but that comes into effect. We struggle to see about UCC and how we manage it, and we've looked about, and then we found trust and equity, and we saw what Richard did, what I read to you this morning while he was still all fresh, before you get tired late on. I couldn't have read that to you then because it's a bit of a strain on you, but that's remarkable, all that information, the kings, the years and where it's come from, the history, how they see it, the acts, that thing that I said about the, what was the name I couldn't say that I spelled out to you, that thingy there was a name, weren't it? Yeah, adjudicating, stuff like that, it's invaluable, where you can get it from, and you need to check it yourself. So there's the references there, and we will give you from the site some references where we get information from, in publications, articles. Gilbert's Trust Law is one that we've looked at for regarding the financial side. But accepted for value is a foundation of remedies available for commercial demands made by the state, so many people have attempted to use it. It says here the Uniform Commercial Code, Article 3, deals with negotiable instruments. Also, I believe the Bills of Exchange 1882 does as well, though. So this is what I'm saying. We've got information that's we correlate from America to England, and we're in the process of doing that now. But it says acceptance. This will be the same regardless, because it's international, and banking is international. You see, banks will operate on an international. They don't just have English. We have different currencies, but the system is universal. Like the mail system, it's recognised, accepted when you're in a different country. Central banks are different, so acceptance, an agreement either by express act or by implication from conduct to the terms of an offer, so that a binding contract is formed. If an acceptance modifies the terms or adds new ones, it generally operates as a counter offer, and it says Black's 7 for reference. Accept, and that's the definition of the word, to receive with approval or satisfaction, to receive with intent to retain, and that's from Black's 4. Acceptance, the taking and receiving of anything in good part, and as it were a tacit agreement to a preceding act which might have been defeated or avoided if such acceptance had not been made, comes from Black 4. So we can give you A for V guidelines, and I'm not going to go through and read all this out, but you get an idea. Accepted for value, return it to value, version 10. Let me just magnify that for you. Private document, there you go, to entertaining purposes, bit of a disclaimer there, who's done it, and we've got another one here, accepted for value, the content there, and then the statement, accepted for value and returned for value, exemption, it's a pre-formatted document here, stamp or write in red at a 45-degree angle on the top right corner of the statement. Accounts you want to roll over, accounts you want to... I haven't mastered this, I'm looking at it now. Liam Palmer in SPLs, and some of the admins have been concentrating on this, and Warren Bell as well. Again, they're not all masters on that, but we are looking at this extensively. We looked at the joint gyro credit, the bank gyro credit, and how we do this and what we use and how we indemnify it and offset the bill or the charges. Using the promissory note, the same as the money out the wallet. It's just, A for V instead of the money from your wallet. not using the promissory note, because they give you the bottom half of the slip and it looks like they're saying, we're going to take this money from that treasury account, we need you to authorise this and let us take it. But instead what we're doing is taking it to the post office or wherever, direct debit, paying it again, instead of actually being the set law. Because we've got the public, you see, it kind of does make sense. It's just the intricacy with the thumbprints and the stamps and the format and where you put the national insurance number. It will be by set law, and I've got some examples for you, so just hold on. But this there's no barcode routing number on it. You write your routing number account at the bottom left. Right, and Steve McRae's covered this as well, so I'd urge you to look at that as well, because I'm not an expert in it, and you know, you can by all means and go and have a look and then compare and contrast, because that's what we'll be doing, as well as anything I can find from Richard, you know, that's already worked. And the man shows me that he's got a proven method of A for V, and it's got discharged and dealt with, and I'll just stick with him because he's got the reference and he's done it. And I'm not saying he has, but I believe he has, so
Yeah,
I'll get to that.
I've done this twice now. I've done this with HMRC and DWP, but I've had no confirmation back.
Yeah.
So I can't say if it works or not.
Accepted for value and returned for value. It's there's rules to it, so I'm not sure I'm privy to all of these, but
Is that the one with the stamps on the front, the stamps
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
back?
yeah, value on the front, value on the back.
If you don't
Yeah.
mind me asking, did you send it?
Yeah.
Did you send it to the treasury?
No, I sent it to the HMRC and to DWP.
Yeah, using the accepted for value method. Yeah.
Why would you send it to the
Look at
treasury?
this. I'll get you in a minute. You just you're gonna have to sit and watch for a bit,
They
guys.
start to offset their accounts. So why would you send it to the treasury?
No, you don't send it to the treasury in our opinion. No, that wouldn't be right.
you
So
not?
there, where you said you'd send it to well, in my opinion, you would send it to the guys, the corporation that's asking for the bill. The treasury aren't billing you. The treasury are an independent function of the Her Majesty's government. The treasury and the tax office, them two are correlated and linked together, reporting financial affairs of. But the corporation, the CEO of the company is asking you for the money, they've sent the bill out, so you send them the promissory note, you deal with them, you offset it, you know, sort it with them. Then if they won't do that, is in my understanding, then it would end up in a court case, and you'd have to prove honour, you know, and all of that, and clean hands, and that you tried to deal with it, you tried to effect legal payment, and it's been rejected, and then you'd argue that in the court, I suppose, and then you'd have to know what you're on with. But this is why
See, from
I
what I've read,
done that. You're
I'm,
right, yeah.
I'm under the impression that if you take the kind of legal procedure away,
Yeah.
what it actually is it's a way to offset an account on a balance sheet. Because
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
anything, they can't put a figure in. Whereas if you offer payment, then they'll put that in the balance sheet, and it'll just come down as red
Yeah.
at the end.
If you do that with the stamps, they call cash it, can they? Can't
Oh, for now, I'm selling value. Well, I
But
don't know.
it's a method that they can fill out the balance sheet
Yeah.
for their accounts, because if you don't pay anything, it's left blank.
Yeah.
Whereas if you offer a token amount, then they can put that in and that'll balance their accounts,
Yeah.
whether it be positive or negative, but it still lets them put the figure in. That's my kind of.
Here's an example of I don't know, discharging a debt that's currently in play that we don't look at with the correct eyes. So when you go bankrupt, you have a debt and you're a company or whatever. It is a company of sort, whatever type, but it's a company. It owes a debt, and so therefore you can personally go bankrupt. In fact, can't you? You can also go bankrupt. Yeah, insolvency. Yeah. So that's where there's a debt owed, and then it doesn't get paid, and they get discharged, and everybody gets sorted out, don't they? But it's like everybody outside goes, oh yes, John Doe went bankrupt like such and such, run his business into the ground, and it's talked about in a derogatory, negative way. But it's actually, he didn't pay for the, yeah, John Doe has got rid of his debts and he didn't use the sweat equity, do you know what I mean? So in my opinion, and others' opinion now, that's the correct way to be going on. That's what we should be doing all the time. But because society's moulded it on purpose for such a bad thing, be like, oh yeah, you can't go back, you must pay your bill. But why? When there is no money. The gold insolvency, the intrinsic value, the method of banking, the rules that we've got, how we can say, the sweat equity, the bonding now, the only value is us. We are the money. We are our sweat equity is the gain for the capital of the state, for the treasury. You know, there's no gold in stuff, so there is no money. And bankruptcy is the way forward to deal with the debt. We would say that's the honourable way. It's got turned into a dishonourable way, and they've made us use sweat equity like, you know, silly chimps. As well,
So
paying to printing federal notes.
In your opinion, definitely go to the company.
Yeah, we go to. I've asked a few speakers about this, and I've also asked Richard when I was, and he won't mind me saying that, when I went to London and I had a seminar there, and he's like, why would you go to the, you know...
Because I've talked to someone on
the Treasury,
Facebook group,
yeah.
and they've said that they've sent it to the Treasury and it's waterboard.
Yeah, yeah.
It was minus what they've put, so does it work?
Well, you're saying that is evidence to say that it does, isn't there?
Yeah, but at the same time, I've not done that.
No, I haven't. We need first-hand knowledge. It's easy to say stuff, but we need the proofs. We need the first-hand knowledge. That's what we're at now. Yeah. I haven't got that, so I can't tell you yes or no.
Yeah, but that's why I've been posting what I've been doing, because, well, there's lots of people saying different things, but there's no one actually producing evidence of if it works or not.
Steve explains that when you put your estate in order, you are then able to A for V with your own stamps, which are placed within the round circle on the bank gyro credit. See, so have a look at that. Search Steve McRae on YouTube, and then he won't. Yeah, he won't mind me promoting that. That's good. So have a look at that. I haven't done it, you know. I know one in this room has. So can you see that though? That's what they were saying on that other form, and it says put accepted for value, return for value. Yeah, for settlement and closure of account, numbers there, reference, example, charge the same, adjust to zero to, you know, fixed cowl caps would be there, straw man, trust via pass-through act, use national insurance number, so you're giving them an exemption account there. Like, you can take a picture of that screen if you've got a camera. I can send you, now I've got your emails, you just, you know, I'll send stuff out, you can get a bit more continuity. By autograph, by real man in blue, purple ink, that is, I'll say that needs to be done then, and print name and date in blue ink. Anybody says any different, and I ask them why, and just, I can't, this just come from an authorised source of which I'm privy to have, and here's an example of...
Just put that back up once.
Oh, sorry, I'll give you some time. Right. Like, I haven't done it, but you know anybody that has, or you can, when you do, let me know, or when we do, we'll be letting you know. But I've got to prioritise, I've got too many things to concentrate on, which is why we're devising the website, getting out agents, putting in forums, getting the structure and direction. Russ, you've agreed to talk about being a trustee, do I remember, or something for the site, was that you? Yeah, that's brilliant. So we're going to get like guys are going to go for interviews. We're not just going to get random Joe Smith from the street and say, right, you're a trustee now, because they're going title property of the website, which has taken up to 8 months of blood, sweat and tears kind of almost with the technological issues we're having. But we've got to the end now, and it's like, I'm not just going to give that to anybody, and it's too important a mission to mess up. So this is.
Like, where's that stuff on the website?
No, this is my personal files that I've got. So I'm currently researching, and I've got this stuff to look at. Once I've got through the express private trust setup and all that business, which is my area, then I'm going to get onto this with these files. But this is what I can, because you're here and you're in the room now, I will show you and share with you the format, the language, the verbiage. Like this one here did say on the bottom, if there was no, what did it say? It said it. Stamp or write in red at 45 degree angle on the top right corner of the statement. So it's telling you there, like, what you should, that bit there or that bit there. But what this one is saying is what you can put on the total, on the actual bill. I've seen that on one of Mark Salon's videos, and what's the other bloke called now? Kevin, is it Kevin Mark Salon? Yeah, and they've got a bank gyro slip credit on the bottom of gas or electric, and they've got the stamps, the thumbprints. Also search Wesley Ahmed on YouTube. I was looking at him some years ago.
Oh,
Wesley Ahmed, yeah.
He stands there with gas lights.
Interested, but again.
How do you spell his name, Wesley?
Wesley, and then A-H-N.
W-E-S-S.
Go on, nice one, man.
W-E-S-L-E-Y.
Yeah.
A-M, and I think it's H-E-D.
John Harris was a beautiful site. Oh, yes, easy, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Wesley Ahmed.
Live trying again. Yes, all right. Peace and love.
To the
Send
chambers.
it down.
Yeah, it'll still be signed by Justice and the full.
Yeah, I'm going to go through this now. Yeah, I'm going to turn this way though. General, yeah, it's a judgment order on the 17th of May, district, blah, 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 Morpeth Court, Foundation House, whatever. It's got there upon hearing the claimant. It is ordered that. And so there's an order there, so it's an order from a court. It's like a pre-penalty charge notification kind of scenario. It's a public order, a public charge. So what somebody's saying is, this is only hypothetical. Like I say, I won't tell you I've done it when I haven't, but this is just information for consideration. You write that verbiage on there, yeah, and it's then executive for settlement, yeah, exemption. So that's like the national insurance numbers there. We just get up here, the national insurance number, so it said exemption. So on that previous page, where we just saw the verbiage in text, that's what they're saying, the straw man's name, exemption number, date, May, 5, you got it signed there. And then that's what you've got, judgment, yeah, so you can, we'll get onto this.
I wanted to try this with council tax.
We'll get there, it seems to work in principle.
Yeah.
Sorting your estates out, claiming, let me get all of these shut down there. We've got Word documents next, let me see what I've got here, that's the same then, what we've just seen.
Would you say that the acceptance value, we use it because we're operating as an agent, because we can't find principals to direct these payments?
It's also because there's no money.
We have to operate the agency.
You can always ask for a true bill,
Acceptance value?
Sorry? You can always ask for a true bill.
That's what you can do.
Yeah.
That's
But you've sort of put accepted on it.
Well, this is,
That's how you-
this is one of my arguments. I've never received a bill from that council. I've received a statement from the bank on it, but I have never received a bill.
Isn't that what an accountant does when that's sort of...
Yeah, you're in office.
Offset the books, yeah.
Yeah, he looks at it, makes sure that everything...
But I'll get the bailiff.
So, well, you just said there, my love, you're actually an agent in office, aren't you? So you're in office, your office is your house, the bills come through the letterbox, which has got your postcode, which identifies a business,
Your house is the
postcode.
registered office.
Yeah.
The process of service.
That's the one, yeah, you bang on. So you're in the office, I'm in the office.
And it's called the residence, that's why,
Yeah.
so that's why all the
Yeah.
bills come to us.
That's
Because
what it is.
every organisation which we're classed as an organised organisation, right, evidence of birth certificate, that we're acting as an agent for the principal, who is to whoever holds.
Yeah, but it never used to be like this, did it?
It's always been like it,
It's
hasn't
always
it?
been like it's good type with it, yeah.
It's always been like it.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's you're right, you don't own it. It's their name, not
So
yours.
an entity
You've got-
can't do anything.
Too
So they
deep
need
fiction.
agents to operate the
Absolutely.
fiction.
You need
And
an
we
agent to bring it
are
to
the
3D.
agents that operate the
Bring it to
fiction.
life. We bring it to life.
I mean, water bill isn't a problem for me, because
Here we go.
I ain't got a contract on it.
The entity, yeah.
So that's what I'm sorting. I mean, I've done a dusted on that one.
Company's house.
So
But
that's,
it's agents operate.
But I mean, even when I got bills, you know, I mean, there was a time when you'd get a bill quarterly. Now they want it every
Well, we
month.
make
they're not bills, they're statements. What they send out is a statement. They call it a bill, don't they? But it's not a true bill under the bills of exchange and all that. You see, that's an evidence there.
Sure, a
As
credit.
a,
They're showing you the books balance.
yeah, and we're using it wrong.
They're showing you it's credited. They're showing your
Yeah.
account is credited. It says so on the front.
Yeah,
But then you still won't pay it.
yeah. Like the gyro bank check is for you, it's not for
So,
them.
so that's good debt to the creditor, but what we'd say is as the settlor of that account and the beneficiary, then you can arrange that to be discharged.
But it only becomes mine once I put a signature to it, doesn't it?
You've endorsed it with an equitable asset, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Valuable consideration, it's called.
And of course, I've got to pay the stamp duty, of course.
Valuable consideration, is that not the stamp? Yeah, valuable consideration, how you get equitable asset, yeah. I've got this to be a workshop to cover on that.
I don't know what it is, it's sort of doing that, mate.
What, A for B?
I can pay your council tax, yeah.
Do you?
No.
A for B, yeah, I'd look at council tax my arse on Facebook as well, but.
That's A for B, the council tax.
Yeah.
The rest of the nation will be out. They're
It'd be a precedent.
shut overnight. Who are they then? Where's your welfare then? They've gone. We haven't paid the bill today.
Well, we haven't got any welfare
65 million people in the country paying pound a day, and you close it overnight, what's going to happen?
A precedent case law.
There were two trillion debts.
Same with banks, that's why it's hard to win over banks, and if you do have a financial win, you get a non-disclosure agreement. So there are people winning
They'll set
against...
you out, you can't talk, they'll gag the person.
Yeah, until you never know. You win, so you won, and then you've got to sign a non-disclosure agreement to say your contract. What? It doesn't make sense, does it?
This is why, because I want to try this with council tax, but it's going to gag me, and I'm not going to be able to do it again.
Because we're a low-income town.
It's a remedy for a year, but it's not forever.
Yeah,
They say that I owe council tax.
I'm sure you, doesn't it?
Well, nothing, is it?
There's no evidence to
Did you ask for any services?
Yeah.
If you sign as a
Sorry?
person,
Did you ask for any services? Then you don't have anything, do you?
I like it.
Oh, I'm missing some.
Let me know.
If you're not asking for
Yes,
anything,
yes.
and if it asks them, are they requesting or ordering you? If you just put McDonald's and request a burger, you want
Conditions, yeah, they'll call you back. You broke terms and conditions, I don't know. No, I've not heard, but in principle, it seems to work like that. You settle out and you get non-disclosure.
You see?
But that's
So if you ask that,
There we go, let's see what Andrew Malcolm's saying.
if you order someone else and then you no problem, you now owe me 1,100.
If you want the case, where's the conditions?
That's how much it costs me to pay back.
I can find something on in my hard drive as well, A for B.
How are you paying me £100 deficit?
Yeah, but then if you've got complications, thank you very much. Concession.
If you believe in the case, you have to submit an
Yeah.
So should we draw an attention to the Localism Act to the councils, or?
Each for their own, because I mean, you can go down the 1888 route, couldn't you? Reducing liability of the
Yes,
person.
yes.
Or your Royal Charter.
That's their position, isn't it?
Of course, that's a good issue in position.
Royal Charters with the council tax, is it? Yeah, driven by that.
So I'm saying to
But then you have to have the correct capacity and title and status to enable that as well. You have to write it down, or you still won't be able to order the status, because you can't have licenses, it's oil and water, you can't have both jurisdictions going before you.
Has anybody got any question? So A for B is handled with public, it's public, it's not private, you're accepting that as the, you would A for B it as the agent, so as that lady said there, whose name I forgot, the agent would do that. When you are not acting as the agent, you would be accepting that and you're paying it with your own promissory note. So this is where we're at. The national insurance number is issued by the International Monetary Fund, so it comes from a financial institution. And we've got that for various reasons, but as we find out when we go to claim something, you might have worked 50 years and put in over 100 grand of money in income, taxes, you know, what they take for your wages, you come to draw on it, and you get the form, you fill out the form, because you've not ticked one of the boxes properly, they say, oh sorry, you can't claim this benefit. But you've worked for 50 years, you've not had a sick day, and you'd like to claim it, so there's a form there, an account, but because you're in the public and you're applying for that publicly, your benefits, and they are for persons, citizens and employees. So it comes back to your status management and how you identify. I don't know how you would claim benefits as the man. You would ask for your entitlement, and you could down and claim. You maybe sign it as the settler, or sign it as when you put the signature on for benefits, you might put all rights reserved, none wavered, no rights reserved, none wavered, authorised representative and agent in office, and then put the signature. Because then if anybody comes back to you later and says, oh, you haven't done what you do, you know, you've gone to get your money, or they don't pay the money, and they say you broke the contract, so it's not my contract, I've signed it on behalf of. You've separated your, you know, it's just an idea, but that's how this matrix out there, when anybody ever wants something from you, they're going to ask you who you are. It's the first question, are you this, or who you are? So, with regards to like your identity, this will tie in a little bit better for you, but person, man, human being, natural person and private person have all been used in various acts in different countries for different reasons. Be careful when using legal words of art when dealing with magistrates. The common law now only exists in a relatively few areas around the world. We are surrounded and invaded by Roman civil law, so it seems. We are on the brink of losing access to our common law right now. We live in a time where in 50 years we will be judged by our actions of now. We need to stand strong, hold firm at common law to lay claim and protect your property. Consider if any public servants are lawfully holding office. They might be legally holding office, but as we said earlier with that shoehorned into the EU in 1973 by Edward Heath, are they lawfully now holding office? Present-day de facto governments only presume their claim to authority and are nothing but corporations taxing and stealing from the people. Well, literally the people, not the man, but the man's paying for it by wearing the persona, which is the separation that we're going through at this moment in time. Consent of the governed delegates your authority to government, but are the delegated offices really lawfully occupied? Through legal trips and tracks and lies and deceit, they presume they have your consent. Through the colour of law, they presume they have authority. People need to reclaim their personal authority and property ownership, inhabit the lawful public offices, or remain slaves to corporised legal fiction world, which is pretending to have the authority to make and enforce offences. Ownership equals jurisdiction to make and enforce laws, derives from contract, informed consent, agreement, and valuable consideration related to any property at law. Everything is property, even your rights. So if someone doesn't recognise your rights, and you've told them who you are, your status, and they force you to go out of the private into the public, they've abused your rights. Your rights are your property. They've abused your property. We classify them as a terrorist. Trespass, everything, injury, harm. Do you see how it leads up? You can make something which they make seem something very small. Oh, it doesn't matter. Everybody does it. Well, hang on a minute. That's not. Yeah, everybody may do it, but that is. Yeah, now we've got a problem. Oh, John, press the red button. Whatever it is. Yeah. So the courts operate in fiction, and if you do not go in there as one, they will not recognise you. So as we've said, go in there, authorised representative, agent in office, but thereby special appearance. Two things to mention. Person is not always a bad thing. Existence in law as a private person. So the hidden power of a private person status, because we all think persons are bad. Well, they're not. Because when you go into a domain and you say, I'm the man, I'm the body in the flesh, and you might say it calmly, you don't have to go angrily, but you say it and they don't, I can't hear you, is he not here? I'll issue a warrant for failure to attend and a arrest warrant will be issued. No, I'm here, but he can't see you because he doesn't see the body in the flesh. The language he doesn't understand. So what does he understand? He understands the private person or the all caps fiction, which is what he's going to try and claim to be beneficiary of and make you trustee when you step in the dock and claim that name. So, an overview, an intro. Please forgive the use of man used as reference for man and woman. Let's not argue over any words at the moment. See the principal idea. Words mean what we intend, agree them to mean. The basic premise, the common law protects you already. It has not gone, and it is recognised as the foundation of law. The system or matrix will play games to try to trick you into thinking it does not exist. They have created a parallel world, a second reality. This is some of George Carlin in here, which they invite us to come into and manipulate us into taking the name, date of birth, and liability. The foundation is sound, but has been taken over, covered up, and hidden from sight, like the CPR merger, for instance. Trust and equity, common law. A duplicate mirror world of law exists. We need to know how, why and how, yeah. You really are the power when you're in honour. If you've done something unconscionable, or you're trying to hide, or you're telling a lie, there's no recourse for you, there's nothing to come. We now need to know and start to hold those manipulating the law to account for their manipulation. So what we're seeing is we're getting halfway, but we're not having the point, we're having a bit of mitigation before the litigation, and the litigation starts and we can't enforce what we're saying, and they railroad us, sting his house. Well, Tom Crawford, it may have been his second house, it wasn't his first primary house, but that got taken with no evidence or CPR paperwork, rulings, warrants, nothing was shown. He appealed it, you've seen him, he got on the roof and everything, they still took it away. So we see the enforcement part is where we're falling down. There needs to be accountability. It is coming slowly. When we point it out, they do then tend to hold themselves to account, but you have to point it out. If you don't point it out, then it's like, oh, it's all very well and good. This is it. The private person is in the high status. that you want to consider claiming or reclaiming. My goal here is to get you to consider person as a legal concept and introduce private person as the primary person of power in law. I am not a person. Is a person bad really? What is the system afraid? Why is the system afraid of a private person? What do the dictionaries really say? What is the law built on? The living or the dead? Common law, CL, versus Roman civil law. Capitus and status, capital dominica. Roman civil law terms, most have no concept of what it means. The phrase, it is spelled in capital letters, is not a spelling. Do you know what the capital letters is? Chicago Styles Manual of Language for the Deaf, yeah? And they say that the all caps language is not a language, it's a foreign body and invasive text, yeah? They teach the sign language in the Makaton in America. There is an English one, Oxford, is it Gloucester, Oxford Styles Manual? Chicago, oh Gloucester, yeah, sorry.
Dog Latin.
Dog Latin, that's right as well, Malcolm. So, what is the common law? Yeah, so the capital letters. So the Deaf Society do not recognise the all caps as a language. When you see the wrong style to describe something, then the lawyers and the courts, they get grey areas in which to play in. How many statutes and acts? There's got to be a million of them. Do you know what I mean? See how thick them books are, and how much room for interpretation in that there is. It's ridiculous. So, when you use the wrong style, changing the style and spelling are very important. Status versus capacity. Many people are confused about this and are not even aware of this. What you are relative to the game is your condition versus what you can do in the game. So what you are is your condition, and what you do in the game. Your status is your condition in law, what capacity you have and are in. Capacity is a derivative of status. You cannot play the game without a status. You need to be recognised correctly to play, the same as using A for B and promissory notes, being the set law, accepting, accepting for value and how you do that. When you go to represent for a parking penalty charge notification, anything really. How you identify and who you say you are. Your status usually defines your capacity. Roman civil law requires a status. Common law, everyone is sovereign. Unless you declare your status outside of Roman civil law, you are all presumed inside it. That's the presumptions of the law. And all law, though, is fiction. Each type of law is a set of agreed rules, an agreed to set of rules by a man. Made by man, changeable, flexible, and grow over time, subject to change, to create a safe, healthy, societal structure. The rules are generally good. We are sat down at the game and assume the rules are one way, when they are in fact the opposite, and codified and open to interpretation. So, yeah, I can't help you with that, we have to look at in between the lines. They're not our rules, they're their rules, aren't they? So, we use... law society.
We're not of that society. And if you can prove that I am, then I'll play by your rules, but otherwise, I shan't.
It's not going to happen, is it?
That's right.
It's not going to happen, brother. Coding. Civil and court rules are complex, but the concepts make sense. Lawyers and crooks twist the rules as they are interpretation. And there are 1,000 pages of rule depriving us of justice, as the principles and processes are being manipulated and they are not standard. The more grey areas is the more confusion, the greater need for the temple bar society. God is no respecter of persons. Person is a mask. They create the person. So do they own me? I'm a human being, not a person or a man, but a human being. In the Bills of Rights it mentions human being, not person or man. You see the status, capacity and all that outlining. The UNDHR, everybody is entitled to be recognised as a person. I found that interesting, so I put that in. Everybody is entitled to be recognised as a person. So not man, but you person, rather than the all caps fiction and the assumption. Otherwise it'd be kind of slavery, I believe. 1928, when women became persons, it was a landmark case in Canada. Something I found out by chance researching what Richard had given us along the lines, Supreme Court, Privy Council being the highest court, basically in the world, I believe, or some of it, because they made the ruling that women are persons in law. So the woman in Canada in the court case, and they said, well, there's no women in the law. And she's like, but I am a woman and I need the law. They went, we'll be back. got in touch with London, Privy Council. There was no persons in law. This is right, what year did I say? It's not that long ago, believe it or not, and I'll give you all the citations, but it was 1928, so less than 100 years ago. It's 90 years ago, yeah?
That's when they started letting them in pubs as well.
Ladies, I'm sorry, you're attacking at your own free will. Liability insurance, it's a good job we've got some. I don't know if it will come into effect though. Law used to be set by warrior king. Oh, law was not, there was no persons in law. The next day there was. The only thing that changed was the legal construct. The woman was still the woman. The legal construct had changed to allow that woman to be recognised. Law used to be set by warrior kings taking over lands and imposing their rules. Look through history, that's how I see it. So we see it. That's how French invasion, battles that we've had, invasions of Anglo-Saxon territory, as I've said, the 1066 land tenure, that all ties in with the law used to be set by warrior kings. They were taking over the land and they did impose rules. We have a divine rule of the monarchy, which is apparently unimpeachable. We have built up a society from being enslaved by military rulers to being enslaved by a monarch. Under common law, trust law, admiralty law, because trust law will come into it because you don't need to know you're in a trust to be in a trust. What have you got there?
Some of the words for impose.
Go on then, brother.
Abuse, exploit, misuse, ill-treat, manipulate, bother, trouble, disturb and inconvenience. So if you're wishing anybody to impose themselves upon you, then that's what you're in for.
Imposing on your rights.
I'll quote that to them and ask them, is that what they are in?
That's what they're doing.
Their intention is.
Impose is a trespass upon you in a common law term.
Yeah, so the society has been enslaved from military rulers to being enslaved by a monarch. Common law, trust law, admiralty and Roman civil are all some of their legal systems, so there's a lot of them. Stay away and stay in common law and in equity. Do not enter these domains. Remain on the land for as long as you can. Communicate in private. This is not the freeman of the land concept. The person's case in 1929, Privy Council declared that women are indeed persons. So you need to know who you are. Santos Bonacci again, for one of those, know thyself. A man in common law equals a private person. So you go to the court and you want to, you are communicating with your documents, you would be remaining as a private. So how would you communicate being a private man, a person? So to be a man, you represent as a private person. So how would we do that? It's a good interaction. It doesn't matter, I'm not putting anyone on the spot, but how would you think? I'll give you some clues, and I've said it earlier as well, with regards to signing without liability. Yeah, how would you be the person, your title, think of a title, to do with your name. We'll give you a clue, to do with your name, how you set yourself out. So, no, not set law and stuff like that, just how you would communicate in private. I didn't
Lowercase.
Change yourself to
Use
a law.
lowercase because then you're not the legal fiction.
Yeah, let me just do it here. So this would be the public, Mr. David, and then the surname. So Mr. is a title because that was, you can look at, we've covered this before, when you're a baby, a child, up until an infant, sibling, up until a certain age you are a master. And then when you become 16, you become a mister. So you get that title change at 16 or 18 now, it probably changed to 18, because it's still 16. Yeah, so then I go from Master David Jeremita, I've got a middle name, it doesn't matter, and then I go to Mister. When you get, what happens then? Mister happens, and the IMF thingy kicks in, doesn't it? National insurance number comes in at 16, at 18 you become legal. So financially you kicked into it at 16, but legally you kicked into it at the age of maturity, not majority. Majority is when you understand about trust and you express the correct trust relationship. We would say in the documentation you've reached the age of majority, and that's why you're now the settlor. The age of maturity is when you become 18, and legally they can then cast the net and start processing you as a civil disobedient, naughty, futile renegade, and they'll impose forfeits, fines and fees on you, which are classed as a benefit because you're a citizen, person or employee in a public status with the capacity of the all caps name, and in the court document it will be set out like that in the capital. So in the all capitals, that's why I'm trying to get this thing, even though it's random. I've got a little bit of a loose thread for you. So to represent in the private, in documentation.
Would it be
Sovereign Matthew and family Craig.
Sovereign Matthew, oh, that'll do, yeah, you don't have to put sovereign though, it's just, you can put that, but you might be classed as vexatious and certain things like, I'm not saying to others you could, but if it's the court and the infrastructure, yeah, you can do it, it's your personal preference, there is no right and wrong, but you would then put David, so you can have a capital D and then lowercase, so that would be, I'll put it like that, and then I would have like, you can have colons like that, and then you just put your separation, and then smaller again. Separation, it separates the names of colon.
Or by, B-Y, colon.
Yeah, or B-Y, by, yeah, David, by David Generita with no colon, so you say you could do by, and then leave it like that.
By colon, Jeremy, all lowercase.
Oh, you want like that, yeah? By colon, David. I'll get some documents up in a minute when I've had power of attorney, and I'll show you the letters, what I've signed, and I'll get you some up on the screen in a minute. You can also put by set law, and then you just put something like that. So then you've said that that signature is the set law signature, it's not just that signature on its own when you've signed it, like I did number V5, and I specified it like a different type of relationship on the tick box, and I put I am the set law, and Mr. David Jerevita is my driver. And I told that to the agency, so later down the line, I will stand by that and I'll refer them to my claim of right. And I'll go to court and I'll refer the judge to my claim of right. It may not work, but we're in testing grounds here. Dave Murphy used to do quite a lot of car stuff. Hannah Rose has done quite a lot on YouTube if you search her. So also search Levi Natty just for a laugh. He's a Jamaican guy that gets pulled up in London by the old bill, and he's like, wow, I posted that. Yeah, it's just his battery dies, you don't see the end, what happened like that? Oh, wow.
You can just follow that. Yeah, on traffic.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Levi Natty on YouTube. It's not full, but it'll give you a laugh, and it gives you the indication of where we're angling at. Let me get you a document up from... what's happening here? Let me just go. I don't know, I'm asking you to, I haven't caught up with her, but I'd ask you to investigate that one. Because I haven't had confirmation again, aware of it, I'm aware.
I've got it a few months ago, but
Alright then. Right, so there's nobody recording, this is a private document. Hold on, wait a minute. Right, an hour and 20 left for the night. If you can get us anything, anybody knows, it would be classified as deregistration, or you would export your vehicle from the United Kingdom because the Queen Elizabeth and the government, the Queen owns and has title deeds to is the United Kingdom government. I'm not sure about this, but the Queen monarchy government, United Kingdom, is where your car is, your vehicle, your property. So you would export it from the United Kingdom, in my mind, as a settler, and say it's now in England. It's gone out of the United Kingdom, we're in England. It still says, it used to say made in England, like it used to say on the cop car, police cars, to protect and serve. And it's all slowly changing over the time, and if you don't keep up a notice, then it changes, and that's your fault, apparently. We have a news channel that comes in every night, but there's never no news on it. Who's it, Beyonce? I don't know.
Now it's serving,
that's the word for GDPR.
What? Oh yeah, you want to do that?
Effectively, what they're doing now is they're pulling away paperwork and you're signing screens now.
Yeah.
Oh dear, digital. And money's going digital. The 1882 will get forgotten. Paper will go.
It's been imposed now as of the 2nd of July, 2nd of April. No bank in this country will accept third-party payments. So you cannot pay into a friend's account anymore, you cannot give them cash.
Oh, I heard a story about them. Tracy Day was saying about
transfer.
Yeah, and also if you're doing an agency work, they're going to want to pay you by PayPal or credit card.
Yeah.
I'm like, who's going to have a credit card working for an agency? I've come for a job at an agency, yeah, you've got a credit card? No. I'm not an idiot for one or two, I don't earn enough to have a credit card, and obviously the fines, and if you don't, an agency worker with a credit card, Roger, I can see your face. I know. Did you imagine that?
I know.
The agency don't pay you, like it happens every other week, and then you're on your credit card, you can't pay your credit cards, you haven't had any money, you're dealing with a financial, they've got you by the short and curlies. We let this happen. It's not so much the privacy or anything that you're trying to hide.
So this is it, it's like if it's going electrical and you're signing on a bit of electricity, then where's the true card? Wetting. There was never any wetting, wasn't there?
It's really dodgy what's going on, but we've got to get the control, stand on it and own it and know it and just continue to, we keep delivering. Done this in 2 years from you know, Daniel Bostock and not knowing acquiescence and estoppel to where we are now. So the team and the master brain in the Facebook group are you guys. It's you guys that have done the work. It's your input, your stories, your reporting, your ask for help, and we go out, try and help. We get successful most of the time, 95% of the time is what we've done. So it's a learning curve, and we haven't got a book, there's nothing there, there's nobody coming forward. There is some people, but Dave Butcher's is a bit too random for me. He doesn't specify enough, he doesn't document, he doesn't reference. He says bits and bobs, and he explains the truths, but he doesn't, I need to know more, I need to know exactly, like them books say, like the accents and the years and the names. It's very deep. It's not something you can just do in a 20-minute, 30-minute video on YouTube and go, success. It takes a lot more. You need to know it, because if someone says, all right, pal, and you're there, and they ask you about it, can I ring a friend? You know, it's not who wants to be a millionaire. You yeah, we all want to be a millionaire, but we need to earn it. You can't just get it like, okay, you can have, you know, figure out a way to get the claim right. That's right. If you don't know what's on there, you go and get the claim right, and then they question you about it. You're like, and they won't give it you. So you need to be able to stand on it and to justify it. But you see here, this is a statement of truth, and I've put here the notice to agent, notice to principal, notice to principal is notice to agent, because I'm talking trust now for this beneficiary. So you've got there for the purposes the statement of truth and attached processes. If the term, if any, the term United Kingdom means the corporation and all agents, employees, subdivisions, and representatives thereof, without any implied submission to the United Kingdom. This statement of truth has been drafted by my agent, and you see there I've just put, because I'm operating in the public, I don't mind putting that, who I am, of Sovereign Paralegals Trust. Then I've put down this lady, I woman, commonly known, we won't say that for privacy. Here in here, Affian, and I am competent to state the following. So this is what you bit before you statement the truth. And then here we've got like non-commercial private inhabitant. Who said dwelling or something? Resident. Someone said something earlier about your privacy, your home and stuff.
Are we still live, Dave?
Yeah, we're live, yeah. Right.
That's a bit private, eh?
No, I mentioned any names. No one can see the screens. No one can see the screens. The screens are all this way facing me. I'm a pro. It's all, yeah, don't worry. Thank you for that, though, just in case. Yeah, so non-commercial private inhabitant, and you've got the name of what's happened here. So you've got the legal fiction, illegal. That one mentioned the names. You've got the private. And that's how it's put there, as you said, at the back, and Matthew said. Agent and interested third party, and then you've got the capitals there, and that's a legal fiction. It's an affirmation, declaration, statement of truth as evidence. We've put a little statement there, some Latin for you, yeah, bear with me, there's a lot of Latin we use. And then this is going on about the issue itself, and about the private property, and outlining that. There was an issue with the V5 document, and I've gone through and I've stipulated what's happened and who it should be, and I've set out the status, capacity, who she is. Oh, I'm holding that, it's a wireless mouse. And then we've got it at the bottom. Right, here we go, saying the bottom. It's a wireless mouse. So, here we go at the bottom. So you see what I've written there? Authorised agent and representative for. Look at the lowercase name. So that's the private person. That's not the man. That is the woman or the man. But it isn't saying natural, whatever. It's just saying that's the legal construct will recognise the private. And then we've obviously, the top there is capitals. You see it says Mrs. at the top. So your Mrs. or Mr. is a title, like an actor claims a title. An actor will claim the name, the title name. And the surname. Hello, sir. The surname is. Sometimes you'll get your name like this as well. This is still what you need to watch out for. So you'll see.
That's why actors have to register to an
Actors have an agent, do they not?
Equity.
Yeah, and
Then
what?
they get an equity card.
Oh, yeah.
Register their
To get an equity
name.
card, yeah. So that's what the payments under that to be done, which is what we should be doing, yeah.
Oh, Danny DeVito.
So if you see a name like that, it's lower, not joined up, but lowercase and then capital, then that's deceptive because they're still addressing what? They're still using that there. So if you reply to that, they do all sorts now, you see. Lower first given name, we won't say Christian name because not everyone's a Christian. Be that bit, the list, they take the title off. And if you, oh, it's a private, no, it isn't, because that's connected to that in the same document.
I'm going to let the lawyer. I don't let the lawyer.
Oh, they're crafty. So oh, hang on, that's 50-50. It's neither here nor there. So you have to go back and say, I want to have a smoke break, so I think we should go for. And then these guys, Matthew and his friend, this lad, oh, he fell asleep. Look. It's me.
I'll slap you.
He came to Spls and fell asleep at the seminar. If you want to have a cigarette break or something, then we're going to come back. These guys can speak and then we'll mop up with any questions or anything. I'll make a list of your concerns or what you want after emails and that. Make sure we've got them. I need a wee as well. But if you're not back in 5 to 7 minutes, we're just going to carry on. So that's all you've got, all right?
5 to 7.
That's it, yeah.
Not 7.5.
5 to 7 minutes. 5 it really is there. 7.
7's a good number.
But I've got 55 years of smoke on now, and I don't think
Yeah, we get that down.
I'd rather trust the cigarettes than the aspartame. I tell you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Whoa. Sorry, look, it's like. That there, that. You will. Oh, no, push the fingers.
I'll have to clear up the tables afterwards when it's finished.
I've got a question. If the DVLA own my car,
Oh, we're all right, don't worry.
if the DVLA own my car,
Well,
what do we roll with?
They don't own your car, do they? They own the title.
the title to it, you've transferred the property over with the title there, the
So
trust.
they're not responsible for it then?
No, you are legally, that's the relationship.
They have got a principal interest in it now.
Yeah, principal interest, yeah.
Yeah, well, if the tyres go cold and they get pulled up, they should pay.
They are legal trustee.
Yes, but you're the legal trustee, so you should pay, yeah.
It's the wrong relationship, yeah, you was the owner and you was responsible as the owner anyway, you're responsible now as a trustee, but the title property, they can come and get it and clamp it now without being classed as theft, can't they?
They gained the benefits, didn't they? You gained the benefits of it.
Yeah, he's got a benefit now, they've got, yeah, you're right, yeah, that's it, benefit, and then you've got the legal trustee title, you've got the possessory title only, we would say perhaps.
So they own the asset, but we have the liability.
They've got the equitable title, the title to it's all about titles, and you've got the legal trustee public one, which is the rubbish end, which is what they need to have. Yeah, because you was in the private, now you've gone and swapped it and given it them. Yes. No, the wheels going to turn up later. Yeah, you can have a chat now. I'll turn the video off if you want. It doesn't have to be on.
Would it be possible? Are you got? Is that the internet you've got?
Yeah.
Would it go onto YouTube?
Go. This one's on YouTube. This one's on Facebook.
No, but could I go on my YouTube channel and put the video?
Yeah. Oh right. Yeah, I've got this laptop's on the internet. Yeah. YouTube, we're coming back in a bit. Ciao for now. Yeah, that's my